Hi. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. All right. My name is Grace from Job Street, and I'd like to welcome you to the very first session of Job Street's Ask the Expert series. Now, today's webinar is actually part of an initiative under COVID-19 Jobs and Resources Hub that we have created for you, right? So that you can go in to gather useful articles, but most importantly, you can find immediate vacancies from companies in the various sectors that are hiring. So for those of you who have asked us, which industry and sectors are hiring, right? Go in there, check it out. Or perhaps if you know of anyone who is currently looking for a job, right? Do help to direct them to the site. Okay, we'll always have fresh content and new jobs for them, right? Now, the COVID-19 outbreak has impacted us in so many ways, from the changes in the way we live, the way we communicate right now with one another, and this includes the many changes that are happening right now in the job market. So the question is, okay, how do we or can we as job seekers navigate through this period of change where companies out there are, currently right now taking on drastic measures amid this crisis? Now, okay, for Job Street, right, as your career partner, okay, we do truly understand that this is a trying time, right? And we'd like to walk alongside with you, right? Not only to address, but to help you rise above some of the challenges that you may have, right? So for today's topic on the new normal in job seeking amid uncertain times, with the help of our two speakers, right, we'd like to share some insights with you, right, as well as answer the questions that you guys have put across to us prior to this session. But before we start, I'd like to put out a quick poll, just a very quick one, right, to sort of, get a sense of how everyone is feeling about things right now. Okay, so let me start the poll. Okay, so our question for you is, during this COVID-19 crisis, what is your confidence level with regards to securing a job? Now, just quickly, log in your answers, right? Just let us know if you're confident, not confident, or you're simply neutral. We'll give you time, all right, to sort of like log in your answers. Just share with us your thoughts, yeah? Okay, I think we'll just call it in. Okay, now let me share the results. Okay, we have a 24% indicating that you're neutral, right? Oh, quite a high percentage of non-confidence vote. Well, okay, so now we hope to help change your perspective this afternoon as we hear from our speakers. Okay, so let me quickly introduce our first speaker for today. All right, we have Ms. Shirley Torrey, founder of Moms at Work and co-founder of Careers Navigator Singapore. Okay, basically for the next 25 minutes, Shirley will be covering some of the questions that you have put across to us through her presentation. Right, so do listen up, and as well as she'll be just covering some of the topics like the impact of COVID-19 on our economy at our workplace, as well as the traditional tools and the changes that we should all take note of as a job seeker. Okay, so with that, I'll hand the time over to Shirley.
Okay, thanks very much, Grace. Hi everyone, I'm Shirley. So I'm going to share my slides at the moment. Just give me a second, very quickly. All right, I hope you can see it. Okay, so I'm here to cover navigating the new normal. I have to be honest, a lot of us out there are actually very scared of what's coming up. But at the same time, with everything that's changing, with everything that's new, there's always going to be some opportunities as well. So hopefully today I can give you an overall picture of what's happening, what might potentially be heading your way, and more importantly, how you can actually reframe, rechange some of your the various tools that you use to look for a job, and hopefully from there be able to find a job that you want and that you like. Yeah. So firstly, I want to talk a little bit about the impact of COVID-19. As you can see, the overall impact has been on pretty much everything, not just about working from home, but if you look at all the industries across the board, you see that every single industry has some kind of an impact that is going to result because of COVID-19. And I'll go into more specific details about what's happening. In terms of the current business systems, you'll find that there's already at this moment a lot of supply chain disruptions, and there'll be more down the road. There's shift in the customers' touch points. There's what we call gaps in the business continuity protocol, and the transaction volumes have also decreased in certain areas. And there are actually, interestingly, some shift upwards for other areas. So what we call digital purchasing. This also means then, for example, there's a lot more digital workplace, hyper-automation, architecture, performance engineering, cloud acceleration, and obviously cybersecurity. Now, what this means for you, some of you may ask, Shirley, what has it got to do with me? This is the thing to know. If this is where a lot of the systems are moving, there is a very high chance that in every single industry, they will also be looking at people with some kind of expertise, some kind of skills, and if not experience, at least that desire to work in these areas, right? So it would be actually good for you to take some time to look through some of the jobs available, but also to do some research on what are these areas and where is it that there can be potential roles that you may want to go into in the next few weeks or months. All right. In terms of the impact on commerce, this is a big one because you find that interestingly, a few weeks ago, I was talking to a group of e-commerce, employers. All of them were smaller outfits, but they told me a lot of offline sales had gone online. Not surprising, but also that allowed them to create some new product service lines, allowed them to actually do different types of supply chains. They're already planning for these changes from June onwards. So what they also recognize is that a lot of the customer touchpoint now is very low touch, meaning a lot of it's online. Right? But it also means that they'll find new ways to engage customers. The sales, the marketing team is changing. They say, I can no longer use my traditional methods. I need to do different things. There'll be new skill sets I need. There'll be new roles that I may need to have, okay? And of course, some of them say, maybe I need to cut off the middleman. Okay, and I think some of us may be impacted because we are in those organizations which are the middleman, right? So the key thing here to note is, instead of saying that, okay, can I look for more middleman options, jobs in those roles, maybe I need to change the kind of functions and either move upstream or downstream, okay? I'll share a little bit more later on in the next few slides. A lot more customer engagement roles and existing face-to-face roles definitely diminished. And what I mentioned earlier on, alternative supply chains, we're starting to see some different organizations come forward and say, I want to hire people a little bit, I didn't have this role before, I'm going to try out these different roles because I didn't need to use some of these different kinds of job functions before, okay? So more importantly, for all of us here in this webinar today, a lot of you will ask me, tech roles may or may not be impacting me. The key question is how across the board is there going to be an impact on the entire workplace? So the first thing I would like to highlight is change in work arrangements. So just now I think Grace briefly mentioned where I am from. I run a social enterprise. Our focus has always been on flexible work arrangements. And flexible usually means like, we're talking about encouraging employers to have part-time work, work from home jobs, that kind of a work arrangement. So I'm starting to see more firms start to look at that. They say, maybe the option of having some remote work options, the idea of converting a full-time role to a part-time role, that's one. Then also for some other kind of companies, because of cost savings, they will start looking at, work 3 days from home, 2 days in the office. So you're going to start to see some of those shifts. So what you traditionally see as a full-time role may now be evolving into looking into something that you don't see as being so familiar. So that's what I mean by change in work arrangement. Secondly, which I'm also starting to see more of, is the doubling up of roles. Now, what do I mean by that? In the past, if you were doing only purely finance, for example, your roles pretty much will move along those job functions, those job duties. Now, increasingly, you see some firms, they start to prepare for what's coming ahead. They say, let me double up the roles, meaning that I don't need you to just do finance. even though in the past it was not in your job description, I'm going to add on some other roles. Could be downsizing, could be a bit various reasons, but you start to see job ads also starting to increase what they want. And this is very important for you because sometimes in the past, you may have just looked for finance roles, for example, and then if the finance role had additional pockets in there where they talk about, maybe you need to do about HR, maybe you need to do a little bit of operations, maybe you even need to do a little bit of sales, and then you think to yourself, I don't have this experience really, I'm only a finance person. This is where I need you to challenge yourself a little bit and say, it doesn't matter, I have to show that I want to learn. It doesn't matter if the role has additional duties I've never done before, I'm still going to try for it, because you're going to probably see more firms want to do this purely for cost-cutting reasons, and also because what I mentioned earlier on, some of the functions have changed, certain things may be automated, they see a need to compress the duties into one single role. So be a bit more adventurous. If you feel that you can do more than half of what the job requires, give it a shot already, okay? Thirdly is accelerated adoption of digital solutions. Now this one, of course, is already happening. You're going to find that a lot of things are going online. Come 2nd June, when all of us go back to work, or the whole opening up is starting to happen, you're going to see more and more things have already been digitalized, and it will just continue to be so. What this then means for you is you also really start to need to convey to employers that you are ready to take on digital solutions. You are someone who's trained, who knows how to use digital solutions, or maybe even implement them, create them, okay? I know there's quite a lot of information to take on, but start thinking along those lines. How can I convey to an employer that I'm digitally ready? The word is not technically ready, but digitally ready, okay? And then the last one, which is a very important point, I think you're going to see some jobs showing less permanence, meaning that they will offer it to you as a contractual role, or they'll tell you it's a contractual subject to renewal. You already start to see that quite a bit in the last 2-3 years. I quite believe you'll see even more so. That's one thing. Second thing is they may tell you it's a full-time role, but they may tell you that, hey, I really do not know what will happen in the next 6 months, but for now, this is what it's going to be. I cannot guarantee you the permanence, right? You may hear words like that from some employers, or you may hear that unspoken condition being mentioned. Again, same thing, I ask you to really, really keep an open mind, because most firms are really watching and trying to adapt accordingly. I think even with some of the MNCs that I work with, they're not 100% sure what their whole plan will be. They're planning on very short-term basis. So you may want to think like that for the time being, just to get by and see what comes along for you, okay? Now, I want to put this in a more concrete way as well. So some of you may ask, okay, that's in a nutshell all the different work arrangements, but what about if you're talking about me as an individual? How is this going to affect me? So back really down to the hiring job process, okay? So firstly, I think we all know this already, there's a lot of hiring freezes, there's a lot of slowdown. However, there are still jobs hiring. Every single day, there are jobs that are out there, they are listing. So please bear in mind they are there. More critically, I think that you need to take note of is a lot of things are going online. So there are virtual interviews. Yesterday I just attended a virtual interview where I was the interviewer. And you start to see that people are taking things because it's virtual. This is a whole new set of skills. So even like, for example, me talking to you, there are certain things that I will have to learn in order to find a way to engage with you as an interviewee, for example. So that's a new skill set you may have to learn. Virtual networking, the yellow part, you can see this as well. Gone are the days where you can just go to an event or, for example, a career fair that's person to person. Now you've got to reach out more virtually. You have to find different platforms to try to connect with people. If you happen to go to an online webinar, online meeting, there must be somewhere you can find to try to connect with some of the other people who either presented or who actually you got to meet maybe in a breakout session, for example, that's online. So find ways to go through this virtual networking, and there are different processes you can undergo. Virtual informal reference checks. Increasingly, firms are also going online to check on people. In the old days, you just ask someone, please just send me your references. I think now increasingly people will do this because it's faster, it's quick, and again, everything is online, all right? What also I think this means is you're going to also notice some jobs are listed for shorter duration. It is more competitive. Typically, in the old days, you see a job listed the first 3-4 days, you see a couple of applicants. Now, the volumes are huge, people are applying faster. So whenever you see a job that you really are interested in, this is what I always prepare candidates. I say, look, think about it. prepare all your resume and your cover letters and everything. So every day when you search, the minute you see there's some interest that you think you can try out for it, don't spend too much time thinking about it, put it through already, because it may no longer be listed for a full month. You may find that once they find the right candidate, they may choose to stop that listing as well. So the sooner you can respond, the better. All right. And the last orange box, which is a big one, in this current situation, a lot of firms will tell me I'm open to taking career transitioners because what I want is quite unique and quite new. Earlier on, I mentioned about the doubling up of roles, right? So I cannot find someone who has 100% finance experience, 100% marketing experience. I want a bit of a mismatch, like a mashup. So what I'll do is I may consider someone who has a little bit of experience here, majority in finance, for example. So in a way, you're a bit of a career transitioner. I'll take you. Another thing is also I may be open as an employer, more open to consider people from different industries coming in, people who have different functions but with transferable skill sets. Okay, so you'll hear me talk about transferable skill sets quite a bit later on as well. So bear this in mind, because in general, these 6 bubbles, I call them, it's already starting to happen, and it's going to be it will just actually speed up in the next few weeks or months, and it does have an impact on how you look for a job. Okay, all right, then back to the whole idea of, okay, how does this impact me? So in general, I talked about what employers are starting to do, what they're changing, how the processes are changing. As an individual, more and more employers will look for these skill sets, or these, what I call competencies, or even personality. So first one is adaptability. Everyone likes to say, I'm adaptable. Now you have to ask yourself, how can I tell him I am adaptable? Adaptability is important because they need someone that says, I do not know what will happen. It's a bit like how this whole circuit breaker has happened. Are you someone who every time there was a new announcement, you panic and you didn't know how to do your job? That will not do well, right? So they are going to look for the kind of person who says, okay, this has happened. How am I going to think fast enough and change and adapt to the situation? So you must find some way to convey this to the employer. Secondly, is tech savvy. We talked a little bit about this, or at least digitally savvy. That means I'm willing to learn. I know enough about it. I've read up enough about it. I'm passionate about it. I can do this even though it's entirely new for me. There are some skill sets, some passion and skill sets that I have about this area. Give me a try, okay? Change management, I'm sure a lot of you have heard about it before, but now increasingly so, they will start looking out for this change management ability. That means, again, I throw you a change. Are you going to respond negatively to it? Are you going to respond positively to it? You may not have the solutions, but I want to see whether you are someone that says, I don't mind. I know that I can do this, and I know what the next steps I may need to do, okay? So bear this in mind, it's in the employer's mindset already when they start to look for candidates. It doesn't matter of the job, actually, to be honest. Positive mindset, obviously. And also for some of us, if you're applying for a job where it kind of mentions there's some remote working, they will consciously or unconsciously try to ask you, what is your remote working infrastructure? Are you already set up at home? And obviously with this situation, most of us are able to work from home. If you can log on to this, obviously you are able to access something digitally online. So these are the things that you may want to communicate as well. Please don't assume that they know it. They will try to figure out. So I would advise you during the interview process, try to bring it up if you can, okay? Independently motivated, which also means that I don't need to micromanage you. This one, increasingly, I'm seeing this. We were placing a group of candidates back into a particular firm quite recently, and I remember they started to ask new questions during the interview, right? They started to ask questions like, for example, do you need your manager to check up on you all the time? The reason why they asked that, which is a new question I never heard before, was really because some of these managers were managing remotely, and then they knew that if you needed a manager all the time to look after you because you're a new hire, this is going to put a lot of stress on the manager, and they may not want this. So the idea of you being independent and able to, not that you have to make decisions alone, but there are things that you can learn on your own. You don't need to always constantly ask for help. So that concept, okay? Resilience, obviously, and problem solver, which are more traditional. So these are, of course, quite broadly, a broad spectrum, but you can already see how, because of what's happening in the situation, they will have a slight preference for these kind of traits in a potential candidate, okay? All right. So this means how you reach out to your employer, how you present yourself to them has to change as well. The traditional way of doing it may have to take some new form, not asking you to totally revamp, but you have to reframe and you have to make small adjustments. Okay, so what do I mean by that? These are your traditional career tools. I hope you're familiar with them. I always split them up into 3 areas: the written persuasive tool, the verbal persuasive tool, and building a reputation. Written persuasive tool, just to explain, I call them persuasive tools because when you are trying to land a job, the truth is you are a salesperson. And you are actually selling your skills, your ability to your future employer. So you are trying to persuade them. That is really what all these tools are doing. How can I persuade you? How can I show you that this is who I am? This is what I can bring to the table. These are my skill sets. These are, for example, my personality that's suited to your job. This is what motivates me. The things that I have is valuable to you, and therefore you will make the purchase of hiring me. Therefore, persuasive tools, okay? So let me very briefly run through them and then I'll explain what needs to change for each segment. Written persuasive tools first. Cover letter, usually needed. Some employers ask for it, some employers don't, depending. But if they do, I would encourage you to put it in because it always shows a different side of you. You can actually cover certain areas in your first paragraph that sort of says, why am I applying for this job? Especially if you're a career transitioner and it's a new industry that you've not been in before, that first paragraph in your cover letter helps you to say, I'm attracted to this industry, I think I'm a good fit because I have the passion for it, and also at the same time I'm learning to for example, learning data analytics in a course that I'm taking online. So these are the helpful things that in your cover letter can convey, which sometimes your resume may or may not be able to do as well. Okay, you can still do it, but it'll be more brief. All right, so that's a cover letter. Secondly is the resume, which everyone knows what it is. It is actually the most important document, I say. Even more important than your interview, because without the resume, you can't get the interview, right? So this one, you really have to spend some time to work through. It's about writing, putting down your history, and key thing to note for career transitioner, if you are changing, you must identify your transferable skills, okay? I'll cover that towards the end of this as well. Then it comes to the verbal part, which is basically like me persuading you, talking to you, okay? Networking is the first one. Remember, you do have to do some networking. Now, with COVID-19, obviously you can't go out there and network, but go online, find different platforms to go to join. If you are interested in the digital marketing world, for example, there are certain groups out there that actually run free webinars on digital marketing at the moment. Go sign up for them. I know the government has quite a few as well. So through those networks, find out who's in the class. Through those networks, see where those doors can open up for you, okay? And then the typical one, which is the interviewing one, where you have to kind of convince the employer. And I do want to highlight this. In the interviewing segment, actually, the most important question to get right is always, tell me about yourself. Because from that point on, you are selling yourself, or you're promoting yourself, okay? So give some thought to what I mentioned earlier on about the qualities that they're looking for. Find some way to add a point in there about how you're adaptable, how you're willing to take on change, how you're not afraid of what's coming up. You're prepared, but also ready to adapt whenever there's a change required of you. Okay, building the reputation, which is something that is kind of so there's the offline version and then there's the online version. The offline personal branding is usually how you dress and all that. Now, take note, even though we're doing everything virtually, whether you recognize it or not, like for me, the way I'm dressed, you're also sizing me up, okay? So bear this in mind that if you decide to do any networking, if you decide to do any interviewing, your personal branding offline is still to be considered. It doesn't mean that we go online means that we forget everything about how we look and how we present ourselves, okay? So still give some thought to this. The industries you go into, if they are slightly different, more tech savvy, there may be some things that you may need to change. So for example, I've met people who are from a bank and then they want to go into a very young tech company, like for example, Shopee. Say, how can I show that I'm really part of that brand? I say dress a little bit more casual, dress a little bit younger. I remember visiting the Shopee office and a lot of the people that I met with, they were running around in t-shirt and bermudas, right? And that was their office attire. So imagine if you came in your full attire for an interview, you would just stick out like a sore thumb. So this is a little bit of that personal branding and connecting with the employee, okay? Online, the usual, be very careful, check yourself, please Google search yourself, you'll be surprised at what you find. But I remember I mentioned earlier on, they will do virtual online checks from you now, meaning that very easy for them to search you online. So please take note of this and knowing that that is actually part of your brand. Sometimes you can control it, sometimes you cannot. You cannot, meaning that if they Google search you and they find something about you. So please go and look up and check, what is your online reputation. Okay, now, very quick slide to remind you, these are all the things that they would potentially be starting to look for now, those changes. How can you make those changes in the tools that I just mentioned, okay? As a job seeker, this is where you reframe. Firstly, your job preferences. Start thinking of looking for jobs based on skills and competencies. Later on, I think when Fariza shares, she might show you some of the possible sites. And bear this in mind whenever you do a job search or whenever you're looking out for a job, please try to highlight your skills because your skills are transferable. Also, think outside of the box because some firms are really coming out with very fancy titles. And I say fancy not because they sound so, wow, so grand or something. You remember how I said that some roles are now doubled up? And once they double up roles, they have to find a way to define the role. Sometimes they may have a totally new title. So for example, a community engagement manager. So to date, there are still many people who tell me, I don't really know exactly what that does. But when I pull out skill sets straight away, there will be people who will tell me, yes, I can do, because I have these particular skill sets. So focus on skills because that's what you have. You take your skills with you. Does not matter what job you were from. You're taking these skills with you to the new job. Okay, so looking for jobs and adapting your preferences based on your skills as opposed to purely your old job title. All right. Secondly is a resume. This is where I talked about the transferable skills resume format. You can go and Google search, you'll find it. But the idea again is when I look at your resume, I should be very quickly able to pull out what are the skills that I can hire you for. So for example, problem solving skills, numerical analysis skills, communication skills, whether it's verbal or written. Very clearly these words have to be there. And they may or may not be your competencies, but you need to show me that in your old roles, these are the skills you had. And therefore, as an employee, when I hire you, you bring the skills with you to the new job, okay? So it's almost like rewriting your whole resume to a certain extent, at least the format of it, okay? In terms of your interview, again, same thing, your interview answers. If you're going for jobs where the old job title and the new job title are totally different, you don't spend all your time talking about your old job. You know, during the interview, they ask you, tell me about yourself, for example. You don't just keep talking about, I used to be an electrical engineer. If the new job you want is not related to electrical engineer, for example, you want to say, in my previous job, I was very focused on analyzing numbers. That was my strength. I could analyze numbers very well. I could churn out data. So all the skills, talk about your skills and framing that as your strength to push to the employer. Show positivity because at the moment, everybody is actually very nervous. Even the employers, they have a sense of fear. They don't know what's going to happen to their own firm as well, right? So I would really say try to show that positivity, talk about how you're adaptable, how you're willing to learn. And I mentioned earlier on about displaying how ready you are for remote work. Kind of introduce how I have a workspace set up already if you're applying for a remote work position, for example, okay? If you can, try to explain your own ability to manage work-family balance, again, if you're remote working. But if you're not, the more important point that I would like to highlight here is show how you are autodidactic. Now, this is a very interesting word. It's basically someone who is skilled to find things out. That means you are able to learn on the job by yourself to a certain extent. Of course, you want them to still guide you, all right? But you want to show that in case of whether you throw me a new project, you throw me something really unplanned, because that's what's happening to us right now, I'm still ready and able to take it on. That will be the quality that they are starting to really look for in individuals, okay? And again, your brand presence, I mentioned about how you have to do a lot of it online. There are many, many ways, and please go online to search and find out how you can build your online brand. But keyword here, please start showing examples of your tech savviness and digital awareness. All right, I think a lot of times we assume that employers know we are digitally very savvy. That's not true. And a lot of employers then share with me, I'm looking for a digitally savvy person. So this has always been a point where I started to realize people don't highlight enough about themselves. You know, when they look at their profile, whether it be a social media profile, show some ways where you tell me you're digitally savvy, where can I see some projects, some volunteer work? You know, like even for example, if you do volunteer work, mention about how you help to plan something online, you coordinated the volunteers online, rather than just the traditional phone calls, for example. So that is that change that you're trying to move towards, okay? So with that, I hope that I've given you some tips. I kind of rushed through it like a bullet train. But really, the whole concept is really about embracing a new normal and really thinking about what's coming ahead for you. And I think my next speaker, Fariza, she's going to share with you very specific schemes that will help you as well. So hopefully that helps answer some of your questions. And also later on in the question and answer, I think I'll be able to elaborate on some of the points as well. All right. So with that, I hand over to Fariza. Let me just stop the share. Yep. Fariza, over to you.
Great. Hi. Okay. Yeah, thanks, Shirley, for sharing your pointers. Okay, yeah, let me quickly introduce Fariza. Shirley was too eager
Hey,
to put Fariza
sorry,
in.
sorry.
Okay, now Fariza is from Workforce Singapore. So for the next session, she will be sharing on the various government initiatives that are available to Singaporeans. Okay, so over to you, Fariza.
Thank you so much, Grace. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here and to listen to us. A couple of important things that I hear from Shirley, and also the questions that we realize that we have received through JobStreet is that there's a lot of people out there who actually are asking, like, where are the jobs? How can I get the job? So I'm here to share with you what are the different programs that you can tap into that's by the government, as well as how you can expand your job search beyond the traditional. I think Shirley has shared really good tips on how to do it, and I think what you need to apply is where can you do it. So basically, I just let you through where I'm from. Workforce Singapore is a statutory board under Ministry of Manpower, and one of the things that we promote is about Adapt and Grow initiative. It's a national initiative to help all Singaporeans adapt to changing job demands and grow their skills to take on the new jobs and careers of the future. Now, the future is now already. So this is what all of us are facing. You and me, we need to adapt to the changing job demands, and we need to grow our skills. And if you can hear the examples that Shirley has shared, this is really what's happening right now. So what I'll cover are 6 different initiatives that we have. I will go in detail on each one of them, and we got questions like, which program is for me? How do I know what is the program about? What does it have to do with me? Not a problem. As I come along, I will explain to you what the program is all about and how does it work. You will see that not all programs is applicable to everyone. Some of you find it more applicable than others. So later on, you will see as I talk about it, you can see how it works for you. So there are the 6 programs that I'll cover: Professional Conversion Program, Career Matching Services by Careers Connect, Career Trial, PMAX, Career Support Program, and SG United Traineeships Program. The first program, PCP, I'm sure some of you might have heard about them, about career transitioning. Now, Shirley used that word quite a lot in her slide, one of her presentation with the 6 bubbles, career transitioning. So if you are looking to change your job in a growing sector, you can consider Professional Conversion Program or PCP. Now, what is it exactly? So broadly, what happened is you have to be hired. The PMAT has to be hired by an employer, and once you're hired, you undergo a training program, a structured training program, and the duration can be up to 3 months, up to 24 months. And once you have completed the training, you will then have the skill sets that you require for that role. Now, while you're undergoing the training, the government will support you in terms of your cost subsidy as well as salary support. So you're getting paid. It's not as if you have to quit your job and go to university and study and not get paid at all. This one, we will help support you in terms of cost subsidy as well as salary support. Now, examples of PCP is they're hiring right now are, for instance, is Advanced Manufacturing Engineering and Assistant Engineer, PCP for wholesale trade for professionals, as well as digital professionals. So, and PCP for nurses. So these are the PCPs are currently hiring. When I say what's PCP? PCP is a program. And when I say 30 sectors, what does it mean? So let's say, for instance, healthcare is considered one sector. And under one sector, there could be 5 PCPs. Let's say, for instance, that is PCP for registered nurses, enrolled nurses. We have occupational therapists and radiologists, for instance. And these individual PCP are hiring certain number of people. So the opportunity is there to consider this. Now, to know more, you can go to the bottom right of my slide. Just scan the QR code, and it will bring you directly to the PCP program. Okay, just take note. Each PCP will have their own program managers, and on each page, will tell you what it's all about, how can you apply, and who to contact. Okay? So, what if you say, I am not a PMAT, I'm a rank and file. So how do I go about doing this? Yes, we do have a program for rank and file persons. So for instance, it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same, meaning that you have to get hired, you have to go through a training, and then you come up with the skill sets that you require for the job. Now the program is called Rank and File Place and Train Program. Again, It could be a new role that you're taking up. You have no prior experience in the role. You have to be Singaporean citizen and you have graduated from school or NS minimally the last 2 years. Okay. For rank and file place and train programs, the available programs include for medical technologies, electronics operator, and educators. Okay, so bottom right, again, information about rank and file place and train program. Okay. Moving along is career matching services by Careers Connect. So we receive again questions like, oh, I have certain situation, I'm certain journey in my life, I'm certain state of my career. What do I do? What can I do? I've been applying for jobs, I couldn't get it. What do I do? So who is career matching services by Careers Connect for? So Careers Connect is the body that actually do this service. Okay, so it's for people who are searching for jobs, who are thinking to rejoining the workforce, considering a career switch, and looking to develop long-term career goals. It doesn't mean you're unemployed that you come to Careers Connect. You can be fully employed, but thinking about what can I do next with my career. You can come and talk to us. Now, what do you get? The services, we include one-on-one career coaching, career preparatory workshops. This is where resume writing and interview skills, which Shirley also mentioned earlier, we also do that free of charge. Networking sessions, again, what Shirley mentioned earlier, we do it free of charge also, and Careers Connect online resources. So here we have some resources supplied for you to find out more about your skill sets. Remember, Shirley has talked about transfer. There's a lot of words that she uses about skills. So this is where we try to help you identify your strength, what is it good at, and from there you can use whatever resources we have that is free of charge. Okay, so there's 3 ways for you to access Careers Connect. We have 3 different locations at Paya Lebar LLI, our Tampines hub, and our Civic Centre at Woodlands. We also have Careers Connect on the go, but because of the COVID, this is actually put on hold temporarily. What they do is they have a bus or truck that goes around different neighborhoods to bring all these services to you. Okay, but keep a lookout. Once the circuit breaker is over, the phase 1 face-to-face trip is, completely activated, completely settled, I'm sure they will roll out all over again. More importantly, if you say I need help right now, call our hotline 6883-5885, and then you can actually ask for, request for interview sessions or find out more about the different programs that we have under Careers Connect. Now, if you want someone from WSG to get in touch with you, you can go click on the QR code at the bottom right there, and just fill out the details and someone will get back to you. Next is career trial. So the program is career trial. What it really means is literally that, trial. So what if I say, I want to try out this job in this sector, but I don't know whether it's for me. So maybe I want to be early childhood care teacher. So I don't know whether I can take on the class. I'm not sure, I want to give it a try first. You can. Under career trial program, we do allow that. And during the training session, you earn a training allowance of $7.50 to $15 per hour. And at the end of the career trial, the employer may offer you a job with a starting pay of $750 per month for part-timers, or $1,500 per month for full-timers. So there's no employer-employee relationship. So in the end, you realize, oh my God, I made a mistake, this is not for me. Career trial will give you the opportunity to understand yes or no for you. So this is also incentive for you. If you decide to stay on the job, there's a one-time off incentive of $500 by the government, and also additional $1,000 incentive for those who stay on the 6 months mark, and for those who have been unemployed for 6 months and above prior to taking employment. Again, the details can be found at the bottom right. Just need the QR code, scan the QR code to find out more information or apply for the career trial positions. PMAX. Now, PMAX is actually a place and train, similar to like PCP. It's a place and train program, but with SMEs. Now, small medium enterprises, as you know, form 90% of all businesses in Singapore. And in this program, we have 4 program partners: ASMA, Singapore Manufacturing Federation, Singapore National Employee Federation, and Workforce Advancement Federation. So we work together with them to help, place people in the different sectors that these program managers are overseeing. So what we do is we incentivize the employer to actually also take up workshops together with you to help both of you work better together. Okay, so to know more, you can click the QR code on the right bottom. Okay, and of course, next is career support program. Now, this program is very interesting. It's literally a salary support. Literally, the government supporting a part of your salary that you're requesting for PMAX. Okay, so what it says basically, for instance, when you say that I've been applying for a job, I'm a very qualified professional. You know, I'm very good at what I'm doing. I've been going for interviews. Like every time the employer say, you're too expensive, I can't afford you this time. Fine. CSP, Career Support Program, is one of the opportunities for you to tell them, hey, you know, I am part of CSP. What it is literally the government will support 50% of your salary, and this will continue for 6 months. Then, of course, the tiered system, meaning that after that, lesser and lesser. So for the 18 months, your salary is partially supported by the government. So for you as an individual, you bring home the full amount, but for the employer, they're paying only a certain amount based on the tiering. So this program is very good, and it only applies to those who are unemployed and actively looking for a job for the past 6 months or more, and above 40 years old, and who have been retrenched. So this is a very specific program to certain people. So if you fall in this category, you can consider it. QR code on the bottom right to know more about it. The last program I will talk about is SG United Traineeship Programs. This is newly announced by the Minister TPM in the last budget. It will start only on 1st June officially, so you are kind of new, first few to know about it. So these are for fresh grads with little job experience. We know the market will be even more tough for you this year. So we come up with this program whereby you have a 12-month traineeship with different employers. Now, what you get is an allowance from the government. So meaning that, let's say for instance, you're a university grad, you're earning about 1,008 to 2,005. A polytechnic diploma holder or professional qualification, 1,003 to 1,008. IT qualifications, 1,100 to 1,005. So who qualify for this program? You have to be the cohort graduating from ITE, Polytechnic, University, other education institutes in 2019 or 2020. Or you have graduated earlier and completed national service in 2019 or 2020. So in total, I have covered about 6 different programs with you. As I mentioned earlier, not all programs apply to everybody. So I hope you have a flavor or understanding which of these programs may be applicable to you. So I have covered professional conversion program. I've covered Careers Connect, where you can contact us and get professional career counseling, career coaching. We have Career Trial, where for you to give you a chance to try out a particular job. PMAX, Career Support Program, SG United Traineeship Program. For more information, you can actually contact our hotline 68835885 or go to our website and to find out more if you want to read more about the different programs that we have. And with that, I will hand over the presentation back to Grace. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Fariza. It's good to know that there are many options for us Singaporeans to tap into. Okay, now looking at the time, it's about 15 minutes more. Let me see. Okay, now we have actually received many questions that came in, right? But due to the time that we have left, unfortunately, we won't be able to answer all of them. Okay, so what we will do right now is that we will try to pull out those more common concerns that many of you have raised. Okay, so let me just share my screen. Okay, so we'll just move on to the first question. Okay, how do I decide on which government programs are suitable for me? This would be for Fariza here.
Hi, thanks, Grace. Yes, very good question. As I mentioned earlier, the 6 programs that we have is not for everybody. Okay, so let me try to break it up according to profile, see which one you fall in. Let's say, for instance, I'm a fresh grad. I just graduated. I'm going to graduate. So what programs apply to me? First and foremost, check out your school career advisory center first. Ask them for help first. Each school should have that. That's your first touch point before you even go out there and do anything else. Second consideration, SG United Traineeship Program. Cannot remember? Never mind. Just Google Traineeship SG United. It will bring you somehow back to that page, and you understand this program is more for you. If this also doesn't work, you can also consider career trial. Remember, I mentioned earlier about short-term trial, about the different works that's available out there. You can consider these 3 options. Now, what if I want to change job? I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what I want to do. I need a bit more career guidance. Or maybe I'm happy in my job, but I just want to know what's out there. So what can you do? So in this case, rather than seeking advice from your peers, your friends, and whoever, I would recommend strongly to go and talk to a professional career coach who can actually give career guidance. So again, this is Careers Connect. So because when you need someone to give you a bit more clarity or direction, it's better to talk to people who are expert in the field rather than talking to friends and family members. Not that I say that ill advice, but I'm just saying that from a professional standpoint, they will be able to give you some insights like what Shirley has shared, some of the networking back end you know, family and friends may not know. And then, for instance, if you know, okay, I'm very sure I want to be a nurse, no problem. PCP is the way for you to go. Another consideration is PMAX. Remember that Shirley shared also there is a lot of now jobs that are combined a bit. You can consider PMAX also in that area. So career trial is the last option I would recommend, meaning that you're not sure, you don't mind giving a sector a try, do consider career trial. And then if you have a slightly more different situation whereby you've been retrenched, you have been above 40 looking for jobs, remember the career support program. Now that is one of the programs you can consider, but you have to go to Careers Connect in order for you to tap onto that program. So Careers Connect and CSP, Career Support Program. And then lastly, what if you say that, oh, I've been sending so many resumes, 200 resumes, 300 resumes, 0 response, what's happening out there? My recommendation to you is, number one, apply back what Shirley have just taught today. I mean, there's so many useful applications that you can use, meaning that how do you highlight yourself to the skill sets? And then if you really need help, say, I don't know how to do this, I don't even know where to start. Consider the Careers Connect career preparatory workshops. It's free of charge. We don't charge any Singaporeans and PRs for this. If you need guidance in that sense, like how do I even start? Please have a conversation with us. Contact number 6883-588. I hope I answered that sufficiently, Grace.
Okay, let's move on to our next question. Okay, what is your advice in terms of initiatives and training programs for stay-at-home moms, freelancers wanting to rejoin the workforce? I think this would be for Shirley.
I think so there's actually two different groups here. I would categorize one group as stay-at-home moms, meaning that you possibly haven't had any work experience in the last few years or last few months. And then there's a freelancer group where you're actually changing your work arrangement, right? Because if you're freelancing, my guess is you've been taking on different projects. And so again, to add on to Fariza's point, which I thought was very valid, one reason why when someone comes to me and says, I sent 200 over resumes, no one has actually called me up, is actually somewhat related to this. The idea is that I haven't been thinking through what my career history is, and I haven't been shaping my resume to suit myself and also to suit the job. I do want to share a little secret that a lot of employers share with me. When they are going through resumes, we always can tell when someone has just tried their luck for every single job, meaning that your resume is not tailored. So please bear this in mind, because if you're a stay-at-home mom, for example, the greatest challenge is that, the fear of the employer is that you are not as relevant as you used to be. So this is actually applying to anyone who has been not working for some time. The idea of relevance is very important. So you need to show somehow in your resume that you have been staying relevant. So how do you do that? It could be through volunteer work that's related to where you want to go to, the courses that you are taking up. I know that just has a ton of courses. Please go and look. And again, be selective. Think through where you want to go. Don't just sign up for everything. I remember there was someone who wanted to come back into work, and all she kept talking about during her resume was how she went for baking classes. And I kept checking the job, and I thought, but this is not a baker's job. So why does she keep telling me that, right? So again, thoughtful, think through what exactly you want to go for, and then go for that class, and then actually put it into that resume. This is for those with a career gap, right? For the mid-career workers, if, for example, you are career transitioning, everything I mentioned earlier on, going to show that you have the passion, you have the desire to go into this new industry. So again, taking the right courses, okay? A lot of them are online. Sometimes there's also, volunteering to do volunteer work. So I give a real example. I knew someone who wanted to go into the web, into website-related stuff. She then pushed herself, and then she went to a friend who was doing a startup, and she said, I'm going to volunteer and help you set up your website. for free. So that is what I mean by volunteer work. It's not just going out to support physical, like giving out rice. No, that's also a different kind of volunteer. I'm really talking about trying to find volunteer work that you can put in your resume to be appealing to the next employer. Freelancers, slightly different again. You're trying to show full-time that you want to go back into full-time work. Again, same thing, pull out the skills that I mentioned earlier on, because you are now asking the employer to hire you based on skills, okay, rather than just your experience, because sometimes it's hard for you to validate that whole idea that your experience is not one big chunk, it's little bits of it. So again, skills-based resume, transferable skills resume, okay? Yeah, so I hope that answers the question. Yeah, Grace,
Okay.
thanks.
Let's move on to our next question. Okay, what is the minimum pay reduction should I take when looking for new opportunities in the same industry? Shirley, I think it's for Shirley. Yeah.
Actually, and Farisa can also chip in. Feel free to, because I think we still have people. Yeah. So I love this question because every time I run any career training, even if it's about personality, the pay will always come in. The question of pay. Okay, there is no specific percentage. I can only explain it this way. For every single job, there's always what we call a pay range. And given, yes, there is some truth that some employers will try to see if they can squeeze you, but majority of the employers have already a pay range in mind when they're looking for a candidate. So let's say you come in for an interview. What happens is I have my range in mind. Depending on how you speak to me, I'll decide where within that range I can actually pay you, right? So if you are trying to tell me that your last round was this, usually I may try to match it, but more realistically, I'm looking at the pay range to decide what to pay you, rather than to say, okay, you have to take a pay cut because of this, because you're changing industries, you definitely have to take a pay cut because you are who you are. It will still fall within the pay range, more likely. And if you're very, very scared about this, my suggestion is during the negotiation, talk about this salary range. Say, you know that there is a market range. Please feel free to quote me based on that market range. If I'm going through a career transition, it's a new industry, I understand that I may not be at the top end of the range, but I would like to still be paid fairly. So it's not pegged to your last round per se, but saying that I'm pegged to what I should be paid in the market, or at least what you would pay another person who walked in here for the interview. What do you think, Ms. Farisa? I think that's pretty much the same.
Yeah, I mean, I just to manage expectations a bit. So, like for instance, the PCP program, a couple of people who we speak to, they say, I'm earning X amount of dollars, and I want to join PCP, and I want to draw the same salary. And sometimes it's not possible because PCP is just like a 101. It's a stepping stone for you to get into the sector. You must acquire the skill sets and all that in order for you to move up the salary range that you probably desire. So there is no hard and fast rule on this question. I think some of it is a bit more as what Shirley suggested, market research. You have to go out there and find out exactly what's the pay range. If this pay range is too low for you, then maybe then you should not even consider the job. Why then? Yeah, that's my suggestion.
Yeah. So to go in there and saying that, okay, I used to earn this. Since it's a pay cut, since it's a different industry, therefore give me a 20% pay cut. When you negotiate like that, sometimes you run a risk that you get a pay cut for nothing also. Yeah. Some people may not even want to pay cut you, they're happy to go. So don't really talk about that market rate and what it is as opposed to what I used to earn, because then your negotiation power, I feel, gets a little bit challenged if you do that. Yeah, Grace.
Okay. Next question that we have. Okay, I believe my age is an issue. Have been applying for jobs, but without much success. Not even an interview. Can you advise what I should do?
Okay, I will take this question. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
I've been told very kindly that above 40 is very old, and I thought, okay. Okay, this is an interesting one. I will be frank that when employers hiring, all of us have our own bias. It's how we make decisions. So there's positive bias, there's also negative bias, right? And there is some truth that age will always be sometimes perceived as a barrier. But I want to also challenge you. When an employer thinks that age is an issue, their fear then is, again, back to two things usually, that you are not as relevant as before. And the second thing is also that perhaps you might be not willing to learn new things. Okay, so if you ask an employer why they are particular, they will normally tell, if they're honest, they will share with you this is their fear. So what happens is when you apply for a job, you only have a piece of paper that you send in. The person does not know you personally, right? If you're going for an interview, maybe you can still have a fighting chance and talk about all these things. So my question to you is not so much about you going to apply for all these jobs, but to ask yourself, have I answered the question about how I am actually someone who is adaptable? I am someone who's willing to work with people from different age groups. It has to be somewhere on the resume. And am I also someone that is willing to learn, to change? Adaptability, back to the same point, right? And these should be competencies that you mention somewhere in your career summary, or mention somewhere in your core competency, or even in your past experience, to highlight that you are someone that is open to all these things. That's one thing. Second thing is, I still feel very strongly that knowing that this is there, you have to then push yourself a bit harder. Remember I mentioned earlier on about the personal branding online. So if you do have online platforms that you're using, like whatever jobs, if they happen to have asked for a photo, go and take a proper photo. If it's not advisable, obviously photos are optional, but if they ask for it, then spend some time to look positive and happy. I'm not asking you to look younger. You don't have to make pick and change everything. But all you need to do is really look like you are willing to work with everybody. That positivity, I have met candidates who were in their 60s and 65, and I remember, we put the application through, and the picture of the person was so cheerful and so happy. And she came to the interview, and she was also as cheerful. And I remember that we had 4 or 5 employers meet her, and all 4 or 5 employers told me, I like her so much, it doesn't matter about her age. She's just so positive and so willing to learn. And that is what you're trying to convey. In her resume, she highlighted she's adaptable, she's willing to change, and she had this smiley picture of her, right? And of course, the trick to this, honestly, I tell you it's a joke, but it's a reality, is you make the lights very bright, you always look younger and happier, right? So think about all these things that branding is very important, because you don't realize this, that piece of paper is the only thing that you're sending in. And if you don't send in that to kind of reframe that, you are allowing the other side to make whatever judgment they want. That's when they start thinking 40 plus must be very old. That's my point, you see. So give some thought to this, and then try it out on your resumes first and see. Then when you get into the interview, you convince them, you continue with that branding of how you're positive, you're adaptable, you're relevant, and so kind of like answer the hidden question behind why age is an issue. Yeah, I hope that helps to answer. Yeah, Teresa, anything you want to add? Or
actually, it's very interesting, because I realized, I remember reading one of the questions that was raised. It's like, am I too old to apply for a PCP? Now, it's very interesting, because if you go into the PCP pages, none of them would say how old is this particular job for. I would like to highlight one particular story whereby this particular gentleman, who's in his 60s, he used to be running his own business, and he decides to make a change in his career, and he applied for a PCP, and now he's in the ICT sector. He did it. So all I'm trying to say is, age is not a barrier, the mindset could be. And once you understand that, hey, once I overcome my issue about my age, then perhaps everything else will be easier for you to understand. Like, okay, actually there's a lot of hidden story behind it. I need to know that, I need to convey that I am useful, relevant, and all the skill sets are really important, is applicable to me. So my recommendation is, even though you have faced rejections, it's very, very difficult. We totally understand that. I mean, surely have seen it. I've seen it myself. But I think you have to have that mindset that you should not be the barrier to yourself. You should not use your age as a barrier to yourself. You should just try. Okay?
So you should try and do that reframing that we talked about.
Yes.
Really,
yes.
Really, you can't just keep going on and saying, okay, I'm like that. I'm like that. It's not. I'm just like that. I am like that with. Let me tell you why I'm actually not stubborn. Let me tell you why you are wrong to think that I'm not relevant. That is what you're trying to convey across. Once you do that, you change that message. I think it will help a little bit. Yeah, at least a start. Yeah. Thanks, Grace.
Okay. All right. I think we have we'll just do one last question, right? Due to the time. Okay. I used to hold a management position, but I'm currently looking for a different type of work arrangement, part-time or freelance. But I'm not given that opportunity, as I've been told that I'm either overly qualified or not suitable. So how can I convince employers that I'm serious about the job?
This is always an interesting one because it's
Yeah.
funny, right? You always tell I'm underqualified, and then I can also be overqualified. So, okay. My suggestion for this is again same thing. Ask yourself, why do employers think this way? Why are they worried that someone overqualified does not? Why would they not want to consider someone overqualified? Two fundamental reasons. Firstly, the idea that actually three. The first one is that perhaps you may ask for a salary range that I cannot afford. Okay, and I think you know this. If you are looking for a slightly different type of work arrangement, you're already mentally prepared that it won't be the exact same as your full-time role, right? So we all know that, but the employer does not know that. They may think that you're coming in, going to ask for the same thing again. That's one thing. Second thing is longevity. They're very, very worried sometimes that if you come in, after a while, you find the job is too boring for you, you think the job is beneath you, you want to leave. So this is their fear, right? And the third thing is sometimes they feel that maybe you're coming in to try out, and it's like a trial for you, and then you want to exit. So these are the fundamental fears behind why they block and say, okay, let's not even give this a try, right? So again, same thing, you have to ask yourself, in my resume, in my cover letters, in my ways of communicating to the employer, have I kind of answered what they're really afraid about? And if they're afraid about this, have I in my career summary, for example, mentioned just a very simple line, looking for a change in career direction, wanting to do more part-time or freelance roles in order to learn new things. So the idea that I'm still learning, but I'm looking at a different type of role. And again, you can change it for every role that you apply for, okay? And I think when you write that down, they start to realize that you've managed your own expectations already. You know why you are coming for this. A lot of times as an employer, we don't always know, right? We see these things, just yes, we assume these things. And then another thing is sometimes, if in this case, for example, if your last round was a full-time role, you're going into a part-time role, and then they ask you to state your expected salary. It may not be a bad idea to say expected salary, negotiable, bracket, since this is a part-time role or freelance role. Again, you're communicating the point. I understand that it won't be exactly the same as a full-time role. So they know that you know, and they're like, okay, I can call you in for a discussion. I'm not wasting your time and my time. So that's really one of the biggest reasons why they won't do it. Right, and again, longevity. So how you communicate that this is your passion, you really want to join this firm because you see something valuable in this job or in this firm. That is in the cover letter. Yeah. So those are the two tools that you might want to work on if you're trying to answer this question. Fariza, anything to add?
Yeah, okay, then for me, right, the way I look at it from a program application perspective of what government support can provide for this particular individual is, number one, you can consider career trial. If you are from what I see that you are leaving your full-time job and you're looking for different opportunities elsewhere outside what your industry could be, career trial could be one of the areas where you develop the experience and expertise first, and then from there when you go and use it as a springboard for you to get that job that you want, whatever your requirements are, your work arrangement. And then separately also, if you really feel that, hey, who can help me in this area, another area I would suggest is have a conversation with a career coach, because perhaps what you're not looking for is a type of work arrangement. What you're probably looking for is a different work that maybe you want to experience something different completely. You just bored your current job or your current industry, you just want to go different sector, but the way you look at it is, oh, I'm so sick of my work, I just want to work part-time, I don't want to all this hassle anymore. So sometimes you need someone to help you understand yourself, and I would say professional advice again would be a better person for you to get this, because it seems to me that when this example is given, overly qualified or not suitable, I stand to question, is it because work arrangement is the issue, or there's a different issue that is that being raised over here? So career advisory is one of the areas I would recommend for this particular individual.
Yeah. Actually, to add on to that point, I really recommend seeing a career coach, because every one of us has very different career history. So even though here we are sharing, these are very broad strokes at the end of the day. All of you will bring something different to the table. All of you will be able to offer something different to the employers that you want to go for. So it is very useful to have someone to sit with you and identify these things, and then make your whole job search process more targeted and your job application more targeted. Actually, the more targeted you are, the better you tend to be honest. So I mean, do consider that as well. Yeah, Grace, I hope that helps.
Okay, I think that's about the time that we have. Okay, thanks Fariza, Shirley, for addressing these questions that our audience have actually put across to us. Okay, now for those of you who require further assistance, like what Fariza or Shirley has recommended, you can actually log into Workforce Singapore's website. All right, they have all the in fact, today what she has shared, it's all there. Okay, so you can just visit their site, and then click on the appropriate areas of assistance you require. Okay, then of course, for those of you who are currently still looking up for job opportunities, do visit our site. We have new jobs coming in every day. All right. Okay, now we've come to the end of the session. Okay, but I want to share that we do have upcoming webinars planned, but also we want to hear from you. Let us know. We want to hear what kind of other topics that might be of interest to you. Okay, you can let us know through our feedback form. We've actually placed that, and you see it just when you're logging off the seminar. Okay, so once again, I'd like to thank Shirley and Fariza. Thank you for your invaluable insight and sharing, of course, your time with us. Okay, right. So I hope everyone had enjoyed the session and found it useful. So until the next time, take care. Remember to wear your mask when we are out, right? Stay safe.
Stay safe.
Stay safe.
All right,
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.